Hey guys, welcome back to Giant Reads. The book that I'm going to be talking about is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which I've already told you about because if you watched my last video, I told you that I was reading it. First off, a little bit about the book. It follows Guy Montag, which honestly, that is not a great name. I mean, it's just not. And basically, he's in a world, in a little society, where he's a fireman, and instead of putting out fires, these firemen burn books because the houses and I guess the buildings are supposedly fireproof now, and so all they do is they burn books. They get a alert or whatever it's called, alarm, and they go and they burn books. And early on in the story, Guy meets Clarice McClellan. She's a young girl, and she's kind of an oddity in the society in that she's a thinker. She questions things, and really she just thinks for herself. And she's unlike pretty much everyone else because they're not doing that. They're just going through everything, believing what they're told by the government, I guess. Shortly after Guy meets Clarice, and they have these interactions with each other, and he starts to like her, she dies. Or at least that's what happens. That's what his wife says, and that's what we're led to believe basically through probably 3/4 of the book, the rest of the book. And so she dies, and that's what causes Guy to start rethinking everything, rethinking the books, and really rethinking his whole existence. And that's all you get from, as far as the plot for me is, I don't really like to focus on what the book's about. I like to focus on what I think of it. But first off, I did not like the book at all. I mean, I didn't like the writing style because I think this is something that maybe people really enjoy, but this isn't something that I did. But it seemed like Ray Bradbury was almost writing poetry as you read the book. It's really weird, and you find that you'll read one thing and then bam, it rhymes, and then it rhymes, and it's really weird. It's just not what I want to read when I'm reading a book. And so I didn't like that. I also didn't like that there were so many exclamation marks. I mean, it's really weird. I mean, in this book there was a lot of like emotion, and there's kind of some outbursts and stuff like that. But there are way too many exclamation marks. And also, Guy as a character, he didn't have any depth. The only reason it seemed to me that he even rethought anything was because of Clarice. Well, because of meeting her, and then because she died. And him and his wife and the other firefighters that you get a little bit of, I didn't like any of them. I mean, I don't know, maybe that was the point. Maybe they're supposed to go through this great evolution or change during the course of the book, but I didn't see it. I just thought Guy was just a forgettable character, to be honest. Clarice, on the other hand, I don't know why she died. I mean, it makes no sense to me. She was relatable, she was likable, she was young. I guess you could say she's innocent, and then bam, she's gone. She was my favorite by far in the book. And I think even Bradbury mentioned in the foreword that he probably shouldn't have had her die, because it seems that I'm not the only person who really liked her a lot. I mean, Guy Montag, forgettable. Clarice could have made the story 100 times better, easily. I think the primary message of this book is censorship of, I guess, really everything, but also obviously books. Ray Bradbury also wrote the afterword of this, and I thought how he said it, how he talked about that message in the afterword was significantly better, more clear in the afterword than it was in the entire book. I can't really put a word to it. What it really reminded me of was, if you've seen the movie The Book of Eli, I got to the end of the book, I honestly thought that the movie was influenced by the book. At the very end, spoiler alert, and Guy survives the bombing. He survives with these so-called book people. They've memorized different texts, and so that when the time comes, they'll be able to print them again, based on their memory. And that's basically what Denzel Washington did in The Book of Eli. I think he was memorizing the Bible. Not completely sure. Honestly, what I remember that movie is Mila Kunis. I really like the afterword, which is about, I think, 10, 15 pages by Ray Bradbury. That was probably my favorite part of the entire book, just because about that was just so much more insightful to what he thinks of censorship and all of that. And he tells some nice stories about writing the book in 9 days, writing it on a rented typewriter in UCLA basement or something like that. I think the book originally appeared in Playboy. So guys, the next time you get caught with your little stash, you can say, "Hey, Ray Bradbury was in this once. I'm reading the stories." As if you've watched my previous videos, you have a list of the top books that I've read in the last 5 years. I did put it on there. It's the second time I've done that with the book that I've read from the list. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory being the other one. I just didn't like it, and I thought it was mediocre as far as the writing. And I know so many of you probably disagree with me, but that's what I thought. The main thing though I want to tell you is I'm asking for you to pick what to make a video about next, which book I mean. And you're going to have 3 choices. The first is Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. Next, which you've already also seen, is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. And there's one more, Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. All you have to do is tell me in the comments below which book I should read, and I'm going to actually be running a poll on my blog. And I'll just count, if anybody votes on YouTube, I'll count the votes as the same as I would anybody voting on WordPress. And that is all I have for you today. If you've read Fahrenheit 451, tell me what you thought of it, because honestly, maybe I'm just missing the whole point, and I don't know. Until next time.